Welcome to Go for Side Effects. I'm your host. You all know my co-host, John. John, how you doing?
I'm doing good, brother. Doing good. How you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. Doing pretty good. Comparing to everything we've gone through this week, man, it has been unbelievably crazy. I mean, we had a Cat 1 hurricane when it came up through Matagorda. By the time it hit us, usually by then it's a tropical storm, but the winds were still 85 mile an hour, consistent.
Oh,
I mean, we got rain, but we only, I think, got 3 to 5 inches of rain out of that hurricane. But it was the wind was the most incredible thing I've ever experienced. And so when we sat down and you were talking, I was like, how are people not prepared? And that's what I want to discuss tonight. I think that's a good discussion with each and every one of us.
oh,
And so I first want to start off and tell all the veterans in Houston, Montgomery County, surrounding areas that I know what you're going through, and we may have some technical difficulties, freezing up a little bit. The internet's not the best, but I wanted to still do a live tonight because I think this is an important message. And so let's get into it, man. So, one thing I've learned that most people do not have, and most people do not have generators. Out of my subdivision, which is 348 homes, only 8 houses had generators.
really?
That's it.
Only 8?
Only 8.
Oh, okay.
Most people, even the elderly, are in the dark. It's freaking heat index 107, 108. I mean, it's not good. And so I was looking up what is there for veterans out there. And this isn't just for veterans, it's for everybody. And so on va.gov, there is a disaster page you can go to if you're in a disaster area. And when you click on it, it brings you to FEMA, but also brings you to, do you need food, water, your house damage, windblown damage, flooding. And what most people don't realize, I'm going to let y'all in on a little secret about FEMA. If you don't have flood insurance or anything or any insurance, FEMA gives you a one-time. It's called the one-time, where they will come out and help you fix your home. Great program. I learned that back during Hurricane Harvey. I knew people who didn't have insurance that flooded. So I really thought that was a really great thing. And so if you have damage or even in tornadoes, get a hold of FEMA. Get a hold of your local VA. Get a hold of your VFWs. Get a hold of all that. But there's a few items that me and John were talking about, I think that would be really good. I'll first start by saying this. I believe every home should have a generator. Even apartment complex. You can get a little small Honda unit for about $300. It will at least run your fan and run your refrigerator. And then also, I also believe you should have, like, if I have a house, I have 3 5-gallon cans. I fill them up right for the hurricane, have my generator ready. And if you live in the South, in the tropic area, because we're considered the tropics, because down south, man, get you a little AC unit. Don't make yourself suffer in the heat. A fan.
And
Go ahead.
if you have I was just saying, you have a generator, be intelligent enough to know that a gas-operated generator, it cannot be inside your home. It produces carbon monoxide. Cannot have it inside your home. Has to be ventilated.
But let's say this with it, John. I'm sorry, I have to say this with it. There are people out there that do that. And I've known people who have died from it. Because carbon monoxide is a real thing. It will kill you.
Yeah, it's just not a good mix. It's like, it will kill you. Yeah, yeah. So Have it vented,
And here's the thing.
outside of your home.
Look, if there's a hurricane, you can prepare better than a tornado. But you should always have at least, to me, 1 month to 2 months supply of food and water. Bottled water and food. And let me tell you, $100, I can tell you what to go get, and you'll have a 2 month supply of food and water. It's so
Yeah. It says roughly a gallon a day per person for food for like drinking and sanitation, which isn't much, but it'll do the trick.
right. Well,
Yeah.
like if like people around here have swimming pools, as long as they ain't turned green, that's what they shower in. In the state of Texas, though,
Oh.
in the state of Texas, by law, every subdivision that has like a water company or a mud district, they have to have a generator so you have running water. And let me tell you, I took some really cold showers, felt great when it was 170 degrees outside. I do have my power back, but most of Houston, and I'm going to address this to Centerpoint, that they're going to be in a lot of trouble when this is over with. They really screwed up. Entergy, who I have, bravo, you guys are doing great. I mean, them linemen, they're out there in 107-degree weather.
Oh boy, yeah. They're making their money. They're making their money.
Right.
Oh boy.
But one thing about it is think about how many disabled veterans are in just your community alone. Get with your neighbors, know your neighbors, have a plan with your neighbors. If you're a disabled vet, there are so many organizations out there that can help you. Every county has a food pantry. Believe it or not, if you run low on food, get a hold of food pantry. They'll bring it to you. You can go there, and they'll give you water. They'll give you enough food to last at least a week. FEMA would bring out trucks if it's a real bad disaster, and you can get water and food. But also, talk to your local HOAs. I know a lot of people don't like them, but I saw an HOA that when everything flooded, the HOA went and bought tons and tons of water and put it on every corner of the streets. So, and people go pick up a case, bring it to the house, and while they're working on it, they had water. The HOA cooked them hot dogs every day.
Really?
Yeah, and eggs in the morning. They cook 2 times. And I tell you, that's a really good HOA, because I know my HOA wouldn't do that. Just to let y'all know, but but there are a lot of good people. And when we flood, we have what's called the Cajun Navy. It's a bunch of Cajun guys with their small boats, and they go and do water rescues. They're amazing, and they really helped out during Harvey. But when you get a disaster like we have up here, it's something I've never seen. It looked like pine trees snapped in half that had been growing for 100 years.
And so there's there's both scopes of the disasters. I mean, if it's during a heat wave, on the flip side of the coin, let's say you live somewhere where it gets really cold, because our weather patterns have just been nuts, and you lose power because of the extreme cold. If you make sure you got some warm blankets around, or if you got sleeping bags. The generator still is a great thing, but I understand not everybody can afford a generator. Now you're talking for your individual. If a tree falls on your house and breaks windows in the middle of winter, make sure you maybe have a roll of thick plastic bag or garbage bags and duct tape so you can cover your windows if you're in a house or an apartment. Not to say if you can't get to the outside because it's too high, you can do it from the inside. Duct tape is a wonderful, wonderful thing. I mean, engineers across our world use duct tape for a lot of things.
I tell you what, my son-in-law brought me over duct tape, and it saved us. Duct tape. Everybody should have duct tape. Everybody. I mean, and that's right.
Duct tape. fixes a lot of shit.
It does, and
But
I know we're
yeah, so it goes
breaking
up
up a
both
little
shows.
bit. I know we're breaking up a little bit, but it's not bad, and which I'm glad because earlier it was really breaking up. But you're right. Duct tape to me would be important. Ice is not important. Water's important.
Yeah.
Food's important. And the other thing is the
Yeah.
safety of your family.
Yeah.
And so if you need to have
Yes.
protection, have protection. You know, from anybody that breaks in a house, anybody that does anything.
Yeah.
And also talk with your neighbors, watch over their house, they'll watch over your house. But when you said not everybody can afford a generator, I do understand the logic of that, except for a couple of things. I met a lady, single mom with a young kid and a grandmother living in a house. She said, I can't afford a generator. But when I looked at her nails, they were nice, crispy, and they had all kinds of little sparkly things on them. You can go get your damn nails done, but you can't afford a generator. And let me tell you, them little sparkly things, every time you get them, it's $100. Just don't go to the nail salon for 6 months. You can get your damn generator.
Well, it's all about what your priorities are at the moment, I guess.
And that's exactly right. But
you know,
so when me and John we were talking about this, and I was talking today, it was pouring down rain. I was glad to see the rain. It made it 77 degrees because our shop does not have power, and we probably won't have power for another 4 to 5 days. Okay. But we all worked as a team to get propane. We all worked as a team to make sure generators, kept up. Everybody's got water. When we turn on, we take wet towels, throw them in the freezer, wrap them around our neck while we cut hair. So there's ways you can be prepared, and there's ways you cannot be prepared. I don't think, canned goods, all that, that's what most people buy. Me, I have a barbecue pit. I know in apartments you can't. Have a barbecue pit. Smoke all the meat. Cook all the meat in there. You'll eat on that for days. And so, like my daughter and them could not get to a grocery store. Our grocery stores were empty. Our gas lines were, oh my God, John, I'm not kidding you. It'd take you an hour to an hour and a half sometimes to get gas.
Which brings us to we were talking moments before we came live. In order to take care of all this stuff, you're not be able to go swipe your card or get money. What do you need to have on hand?
Cash.
Got to have cash, small bill cash. Don't be what,
And it shocked John whenever, because I told him about $1,000. Really and truly, you should have about $1,000. And you're thinking, dang, $1,000. Here it didn't last long. I can tell you, when you fill up your truck, your wife's car, your gasoline, you prep for food, you got to get water, then you got to go back, fill up your truck, because you're driving back and forth to work, you still got to get gas every day for that generator. It adds up. All of it adds up. But you're right. Cash is king. Yeah. And I mean, they ever decide to go digital, everybody's going to have a problem because the stores won't open. If there's a disaster.
And cash in the middle of the night, one thing people, yes, of course, flashlight, but candles. You got candles. Candles are good. It doesn't necessarily provide much warmth, but it'll give you light, So candles is a really good thing to have on hand. I think everybody, like you said, we're spoiled. We, meaning Americans as general, spoiled. Like you said, ice is not that important. Ice is going to keep you alive. Water and food is going to keep you alive, and so you're not bumping in the night. Have a damn candle, have flashlights on hand. The solar powered, and I don't remember what Wade that we're talking our last podcast in the after the show, a little power panel that can maybe charge your cell phones if there's cell service anywhere. You gotta have a way to charge your phone, right?
For $12, you can go down.
If there's cell towers.
For $12, you can go down and get a little solar panel that has a little USB plug in, charge up your cell phone for $12. I mean, so there is stuff out there. Battery operated fans, and like my son and them bought these battery packs, man. These things are huge and they're freaking awesome. They came to my house, charged them up, and they brought them home. They last 11 hours, and they last 11 hours, and they also had 3. So they had 3 of these things that last 11 hours, plug the refrigerator in. They can plug a light in. They can plug a fan in. I mean, so there is stuff out there. And only reason I'm saying this to everybody is I don't want y'all to go through what the hell I went through. Because it was a pain in the ass. And I mean, I am more prepared than what most people are. I prep. I learned being in the service. You always should be prepared. That should be the main motto of everybody's life. Be prepared. Don't be prepared just for yourself, but be prepared for your wife, your kids, your husband, your daughter, everybody. And so I really believe that. After my power came back on, I took my air conditioner over to my mom and dad's house because I didn't, they're almost in their 80s. I wanted them to be cool. And so I brought that over there, which is helping them out. They may not get power till Sunday. And gas is coming back. Let me tell y'all how the process works in living in a hurricane area. The first 2 days is complete hell. And one of the reasons why it's complete hell is because gas stations have the longest lines ever, if you can find one open. Grocery stores has the longest line, and all the food's pretty much gone. You can get you can find mustard and ketchup. You want to eat on that. I mean, I'm serious. People panic. And that's the biggest problem in America today is after a storm, people panic. I was sitting in line to get gas, and I saw a Jeep pull up. 4 guys almost beat him up.
Oh.
Yes. Because he was going to cut in line. I mean, that's how serious people take this stuff. And that's what I'm saying. If you're prepared, you don't have to. I didn't really have to get gas. I just wanted to fill up my tank just in case. When you sit there and you want to fill up your gasoline, you don't want to see some guy get, pew down, gun down, or whatever, or beat up real bad. But that's how serious people take this stuff. And they should. People should take this very serious. Because people Go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say, and you don't have to do everything all at once. I mean, do something, put it on a budget list. Okay, I'm going to get this for every other week, or meaning in your budget, whether you do it, okay, I'm going to put this aside or buy this for this month, because none of us know something's going to happen. I mean, aren't always, a major disaster. It could be rather small, localized, like you said, tornadoes take out a town, or do a lot of damage, and there can be people coming to your aid on a lot of sightseers. But you can prepare, a little bit each month, because you never know when it's going to hit. I mean, if we could see in the forecast, things would be different in our lives, but that ain't realistic.
No, I learned one thing though. If it's a Cat 4 or higher, my ass is out of town.
Oh.
No, I'm going to John's, and we will podcast from John's house.
Yeah, come on up. A hell of a drive, but come on up.
But it's funny because we don't really get tornadoes here. It's once in a blue moon. We don't see them as often like y'all do. I couldn't imagine what it would be like to go through that. I couldn't. I could not imagine that whatsoever. Because them people ain't out of power for 1, 2, 3 weeks. It's like 1, 2, 3, 4 months. Because that's just a path of destruction.
Well, and see, a lot of people who live in rural America, so you live in a pretty populated area.
Oh, yeah.
I live in very much rural America, and some people will define rural America. Well, you're talking, there are towns that are maybe 1,000 people or less, or maybe less than 5,000. You know, if you're used to a big city that's got millions, far cry different here in my neck of the woods. You know, it's just not that way. And so each area where you live, you got to pick and choose what's right for you. Don't depend on others. That's our whole point here. Don't depend on others. Look out for yourself. As my dad used to say, you got to look out for number one. That number one is you and your family. You know, they're number one. You know, everybody else, yes, you want to help people, but we were talking earlier about security. You know, I think, you know, people, when they start missing out, people get really violent and will try and break into your homes, especially in a larger place like where you live, Kevin, a much more populated area. You know, not to say it couldn't happen in a small town, but it's more likely to happen in a much more populated area.
I agree with you on that. And I liked what you said earlier. Don't get all at once.
Right.
Normally, the beginning of summer, I'll fill up 3 gas cans. I mean, I built my stuff up slowly. And I mean, I got a generator was first thing. And then we just started buying a little bit of extra food here, a little bit extra food here. And instead of buying 1 case of water, we bought 2 cases of water. And so we have like 3 cases of water at all times, always rotating. And so you're right. You're 100% right. You don't need to go get a Jim Bowie knife. You don't need to go out and get, Rambo stuff and all that, All you need to do is, I mean, my brother, and you met him, my older brother, he has a small generator, and I think has a 5-gallon gas, and that thing, he hasn't even gone through 5 gallons of gas. But they run a whole bunch of fans and run the refrigerator, and that's it. And they're comfortable. Well, they're fine with it.
And as far as your person, and I was trying to educate myself a little bit as we're getting prepped for the show. You don't think about it, but we all get sweaty and nasty. If you're in an environment that's really hot, when an emergency hits, moist towelettes, baby wipes, they're phenomenal. They do a lot of good. Then you're not sitting there dumping water on you. You can wipe your body off with moist towelettes. It says, well, that's not a bad, because let's say you don't have running water, yes, that water you want to drink. I mean, yes, we all want to keep clean, but moist towelettes, I mean, they keep for quite a while,
And John, and a lot of deodorant.
Yeah, a lot of deodorant.
I'm telling you, man, I stack that stuff on when I get to that barbershop. And I tell every one of my customers, you better be lucky I put on deodorant today.
And have some basic first aid stuff available.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure people are going to come in, yes, but if you're stuck or something, you step on a damn nail, or have gloves. It's pretty basic stuff. But if you don't think about it in advance, and you put all this kind of stuff away. Now, we were talking about tornadoes. On the tornadoes, you're just hoping not to get the hell blown away. I personally, we've had derechos come through. I haven't personally been involved in a tornado. Scares the hell out of me when you start hearing that hail hit the side of my house.
Oh yeah.
But have stuff somewhere where it's easy access. If you put it somewhere where it's hard to get at, it's kind of like when you roll your generator out. I was looking up on generators because the last podcast, you and Wade had explained you have generators. I currently do not. But the comment, one of the gentlemen on a YouTube explained he was an electrician. He says, have the cord for the generator on the generator. So it's with you. when you have that oh shit moment and be able to go plug it in and go through plugging it in and how to start it up and shut it off. Well, like people, I didn't realize there's remotes for some generators now. I'm like, really? Like a car remote type of thing,
Yeah.
which I thought, holy shit. Okay, isn't that phenomenal? But it's those little things that it's kind of like in the military. We do so much repetitive stuff. You got second nature to us. We don't think, we just do because we've done it so many times.
But see, but that's the problem of being
then your family's aware of how to do it because
well, that's kind of the problem being repetitive because you don't really think, you just do. And when you plug that cord into that generator and you go to plug it into that unit to run your house, do not grab the metal parts before you plug it in because it will shock.
Yeah.
Trust me.
Yeah.
Oh, trust me. Oh, dumbass did it. Oh, my God. You talk about lit me up. John, everybody around me's laughing. I didn't think it was so funny. I was like, what the heck? And they're like, you do realize when you turn that generator on, you flip that switch, you're in deep shit. And I'm like, God, dog. It was like being electrocuted. You know, and
I'm not a certified electrician. I've done a lot of electrical in my life, but I've done a lot of industrial electrical stuff. And one of the things, if ladies and gentlemen, you decide you're going to get a generator, make sure you have an interlock system on that generator. And somebody's like, what the hell is an interlock system? An interlock simply means that before you can turn the breaker on to the generator, you have to shut the breaker off to the main power to your house. Why? Because if you do not, while you're running that generator, it could backfeed up into that electrician on a pole out trying to fix shit and electrocute them or shock the shit out of them. It'll backfeed to them. So you could possibly hurt somebody else. So that's what the interlock, it's a very simple thing, but if it ain't there, you can backfeed. And backfeeding is not a good thing.
See, I don't have mine hooked up to my house. I don't mind running power cords. It doesn't bother me one bit. I just run power cords everywhere. Run through my damn doggy door. Here you go. You know, I start. You know, I have a system. And when you're used to a damn system, you don't want to break it up. But I'm an all-electric house, and that was going to be to the last part of this. If you own an all-electric house, it sucks when power goes out. So in the state of Texas, if you have an all-electric subdivision, you're allowed to put a propane tank up to 250 gallons in your backyard.
Okay.
And that's what I'm thinking about doing. I'm thinking about coming in, run up a spigot, and just plug the whole damn house in.
So, on the notion of all electric, now people say, well, if I got gas, then I don't need electricity, right? Wrong. You have to have an igniting system to kick off that electric. Well, I'll just use a match. Oh, bad idea. You can do it. Everybody did it in the old days. But in today's world, just if you're not familiar, that's a good way to screw shit up. Don't do it. You know, just don't do it.
That would be me. I swear to God, I'm out there going, man, my propane ain't lighting on this grill.
Oh,
and I'm looking at it, not realizing it's still running. And, you know, I'm like, yeah, I can smell it. Yep, man, I lit that thing. You should have seen that propane. I thought, I was like, oh, shit. But shit, hey, you know what? That's all part of learning. That's all about learning.
No, now, so here in Iowa, I know, like, you got a gas stove. If you lose electricity, yes, theoretically, for the top of your burners, yes, you could open a burner. And if you don't have electricity to click to ignite it, yes, you can use the lighter and light that, as long as you do it quickly. And then you can heat the inside of your house. True. But I don't want to advise that because that would I get a lot of shit from some people. So I'm just saying it's happened. I've seen it done. I might have even done it myself. But I'm saying it's probably not the best thing to do to heat your house.
I like
An
Jason's
A way to
comment.
heat a house.
I like Jason's
What's
comment.
that?
He has solar. And
Oh,
I
okay.
tell you what, solar's a great thing. And I'm putting that up at our property, our little building. I'm going to run
Okay.
everything on solar. I think that's great. But man, I just don't know how much batteries it would take to run my house here. And I
Oh,
mean, I think solar's a great idea as long as, but to me, when they put solar panels on your house and the power goes out, you still lose power because it's not battery packed. It's mainly to feed more electricity to the electric company. That's really all it's for. But I
oh,
mean, solar. If you do solar, man, I'm telling you, that's the way to go if you can get it.
oh. And one thing we haven't mentioned yet: if you're without power, you need to listen to the communication on. Let's say your phones went dead. You need to hear what the news is saying. You need to have battery operated
Radio,
radio would be
yeah.
great, or a little hand crank that can generate power for that radio. You
And
know?
you know what's really funny about that? You talk about that. So me and my nephew were talking. I said, I don't know why, because for us, we couldn't use our cell phones. You couldn't text, you couldn't call, you couldn't do nothing because towers were down. I'm telling you, John, it was like people were about to go nuts. I
'Cause
swear to
they
y'all, people
panicked,
were about to
right?
go nuts over here. I was like, man, I see these things on TikTok, these little radios, they say can go clear across the country, United States, to each other, talk back and forth. Why don't everybody have handheld radios? That's pretty cool. That's a really good idea if the
Yeah.
power's out. And I mean, I was over there trying to text my mom and dad, hey, how's it going? Are y'all okay? Nothing, nothing, nothing. One of the people from my coworker could not get a hold of us. Trees were all over their property and all this stuff. They couldn't get a hold of us till 2 days. And so,
Oh.
you know, I was like, well, you could have sent a, carrier pigeon and told me.
Okay.
Yeah, they didn't like that. They didn't think it was funny. I thought it was pretty damn funny at the time and everything.
Because you weren't the one with trees all over your house.
Right. And so I think but remember the crisis hotline also for mental health, because going through something like that will, if you have PTSD or you're having mental problems, from other stuff, from TBI, and other thing is if you're running low on your medicine, call the crisis hotline.
Oh.
That's a part of the disaster team. They can help you get your medicine. They can help talk you down. So y'all remember the crisis hotline is also there. And also, if you can't get through to anybody, call the 1-800-827-1000. Ask them, what is the most local in your area that has food pantries? They have the list for all that. The VA has places set up out there, believe it or not, for vets. And your local churches. Now, let me tell you, that's a great group. They will come out, help you do your stuff. If you got trees down, you're a disabled vet, you cannot get out and do stuff. They'll send a team out there to do it. Churches will do it. Get a hold of the nearest church.
Yeah. And as far as the food and the water, when you have this food, I was looking at my list. In order so you don't dirty all your plates, have some disposable, have some plastic, plates and plastic utensils. Sounds like a no-brainer and garbage
You do
bags.
not need utensils. You got these right here you can eat with. Right here.
You do.
Right here.
You do. And you can. Just like if you don't have a can opener, most of us military people, especially Army guys, got this thing called a P-38. A manual can opener.
Oh my God, the things suck. I have one. The things suck, but they work.
They work.
They do work. I will give you Army guys that much.
Oh, thanks. We're indebted to you by acknowledging.
But, I want to thank everybody for listening tonight. I know we had some interruptions a little bit, but if you know somebody that is in one of these areas, man, reach out to them. Like everybody, almost every one of my listeners reached out to me, asked me how I'm doing. Am I okay? And I mean, Jason, you, Wade, everybody, thank y'all so much. I mean, from the bottom of my heart, that was one of the coolest things I've ever saw is the people from this show checked on me. And if you're ever in need of assistance, disaster, y'all give us a call. We'll help you find the nearest place. Try to get somebody out there for y'all. But, thanks everybody for listening tonight. And, God bless that we don't have to do this again. One of these shows. Yeah, but I do think it is important. So, John, thank you for coming on. Sorry it's a little spotty, but the internet's not the best out here right now. So,
and we work through it.
All right. Well, y'all have a great night, everybody. Thank you for listening.